Shalom, shalom, Israel. Slacker, we're about a minute behind, per usual on a Friday. Shabbat shalom to all you guys. The water for coming out to class. The water for those that are listening online. I know you see just me up here again. Brothers are recuperating. There's been some sicknesses going on. Brothers been handling business, so I'll be taking over today's class. This is a continuation from Monday's class. I did title it a little differently, but we're still going over Ecclesiastes 41. The social etiquette of the humble, pretty much meaning how do you operate amongst people if you want to gain favor. Simple as that. Today's title, though, is titled as Sincerity Promotes Favor. Now, I do want to preference the class by saying we are not a hate group. All right? I feel like this is very important for today's particular topic. At least for the beginning part, it's going to come off controversial. We don't go over it a whole lot, but it is one of our foundational understandings. We have a lot of new students, a lot of new people who watch online. I know a lot of new brothers that we personally work with that are now tuning in to what we do every day. Just listen to what's being said, understand it. If you have questions, I put the email in the YouTube description. But ultimately, if you don't believe us, research it yourself. Study it yourself. Read for yourself. All right? That's the only way you can truly find if what we're saying is true or not. All right? We're going to pull the verses to back our points, but ultimately, you have to read and know it for yourself. Before we get started, Shabbat Shalom. Shout out to the camps, SOW, Rochester, New York, Con, Houston, and Virginia. Shout out to you brothers. Shout out to LA, Judah. Shout out to Cabo Cab in Guatemala, and Amiatza in London. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. All right, let's get going. We have a lot of verses, and I don't think we're going to get through all of them. So there might be a part 3. But it's going to be cool. I'm not worried about it. I'm excited for it, and let's get going. Give me Ecclesiastes 4 and verse 7. I'm not going to do a whole lot of not necessarily explaining, but backtracking. You know, I feel like the topic we had is fresh. It was 4 days ago. So if you forgot it, please go back and reference the video. But just a basic understanding of what happened if you didn't tune in. We went over last week. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win the favor of those you work with every day. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be liked in a camp setting. That's not inherently wicked, and there's a way to conduct yourself amongst a body. There's a way to conduct yourself in a relationship, in a friendship, in a brothership, in a sisterhood to win favor amongst your people. It's not wrong. It's not man-pleasing, at least the way we're doing it, and we're describing it. All right? So that was pretty much the theme last week, or on Monday. Read that in verse 7.
You want 4 and 7?
Yes, sir.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 7. Get thyself the love of the congregation, and bow thy head to a great man.
So we explained last week that it is in order for us to get the love of the congregation. When you read, even understanding Christ says, not Christ, but in Hebrews 10 and verse 26, I'll just read it real quick. It says, it's 25. It says, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you say the day approaching. So obviously, it's a commandment for us to come together, to operate amongst each other, to exhort, to teach, to instruct, to build each other up in Christ. But in doing so, it doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be redundant. There can be some meaningful relationships here. Just like when you read and understand the relationship between Jonathan and David, it said they were like twin flames. They were like two peas in the pot. They were inseparable. They were best friends. They were the bestest of friends. That can be relationships you can have in Israel if you operate yourself accordingly, if both parties are constantly working on themselves, hiding or concealing the worst sides of themselves as they're working on themselves. All right? So, getting that understanding, the next part of that verse says to bow thine ear to a great man. And what that is meaning is, bow thy head, slack it. Bow thy head to a great man. And what that is meaning is, follow the examples that do it the best. Follow the successful examples in operating socially. Follow those that are the most patient. Follow those that are the most honest. Follow those that can speak the best. Follow those that have the best relationships if you want to have this particular relationship. All right? Now, that was a quick summary, a quick throwback. You can watch the class on Monday. There's a 2.5 hour explanation on that. Now, let's get back into the meat of the class. Now, this is going to get to the controversial part, all right? Ecclesiastes 41, verse 17. Let's get into it. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. I'm trying to get through as many verses as I can, so I might fly through explanations. If I need to slow down, break them down, explain a little more, elaborate, let me know. All right, read that.
Come. Ecclesiasticus chapter 41, verse 17 reads, Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother.
If my goal is to win the love of the congregation, to gain favor amongst all men, what the scripture is now doing is it's separating the different types of people that you could offend, the different types of actions that you could do that would cause an offense, that would lose favor amongst your people, all right? In this particular case, it's whoredom. Now, we understand the basis of what whoredom is nowadays. Whoredom is, you know what, for a man, you pride yourself in dealing with every woman that you come in contact with. You can never stop finding somebody else to deal with. For a woman, same concept, all right? But what we're going to find out scripturally, there's a different whoredom that we should be ashamed of, that we should avoid, that we should not deal in, all right? And that whoredom deals on the basis of who you choose to marry. So, you meet Leviticus 19 and verse 29. Obviously, we shouldn't teach our children, our young men, it's okay to sit here and be loose, to not be chaste. The men in the Bible were very chaste. The men in the Bible didn't sit here and recklessly deal with any woman they crossed the street. They understood there was a responsibility behind who you deal with and who you invest in. Society has taught us not to think accordingly. Society has taught us associate that particular aspect of relationships as a pleasure thing, as a fun thing, as a hedonistic thing, and not a responsibility. And this is where a lot of the disconnect has come. Same thing with women. 50 years ago, women were a little more chaste than they are now. A lot more chaste than they are now. 100 years ago, they were a little more chaste than 50 years ago. So the chastity, the morals have been depreciating through time. But it's because we're being rewired to believe in a false way of relationship building. All right, what you got?
That's crazy what you're saying, because it's under the title of I'm just having fun. Or we're just talking.
Well, you know, when you look at the music, you know, the older generation always says is they always say that the music is polluting the people, and this is very true. They say that you know, it's promoting this promiscuity. Promiscuity. Man, the English language is the worst. Promiscuity, the looseness, the lewdness of society. But you know what? You look up music in 1950, women were singing the same thing. It just sounded better, but they were singing the exact same thing. I listened to a tape in 1920. They were saying even more off the wall stuff. Slave women were saying off the wall stuff. So is it really that it's gotten worse, or is it more publicized? That's the question. But read that in Leviticus 19 and verse 26. So the question is, or not the question, but the scripture says, be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother. Now read that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 19, verse 29. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter.
It says, do not prostitute thy daughter. Read.
To cause her to be a whore.
Now what does it mean to prostitute?
To sell, to display.
Okay. So part of whoredom for a woman is to sell your body for money. You know, unfortunately, our people have been brought to such a low economic, low moral, low principle state. When you look at South America, this is a common thing. If you go to some of our countries in South America, it's either prostitution or starvation. And we've gotten to a point where we have to literally compromise our most secure, our most secretive parts of us just to make a quick buck. And it's not like they're getting rich off it either. So prostitution has been a big thing back in the day. It was a commandment that we should not sell ourselves for money, men or women. They have male prostitutes as well. That was against the law. What you got, Karan?
I got a question now.
Yes, sir.
There's another way of selling your daughter with prostitution is the father's not putting a foot down to their daughters to change clothes? Like, you see how they dress nowadays? That's all crazy out. Is that kind of the same concept in a way? Or am I kind of
Prostitution is promoted through promiscuous dressing, and we understand that, going back to how it was 50 years ago, 80 years ago, even swimsuits. Women used to swim in full dresses from head to toe. That was a common thing. They did a YouTube video, and it was explaining women wear, right? And it said from like 1900s, 1910s, all the way up to 2000s. They showed how the dress code got smaller and smaller and smaller. The clothes got tighter. And to now, you dang near wear nothing.
Yeah.
And now if you tell a woman, now there's an idea, right? I'll wear a bikini in public, but I won't wear my underwear when it's the exact same thing. It's the same length. It's the same. Some of them are even smaller than underwear that you wear to sleep. So we've been tricked. Our women have been tricked into believing this fairy tale that society has told them, that it's just swimwear. No, it's not. There's a deeper spirit behind that. But in this particular case, there's a whoredom where you're selling yourself for money. This is where the model concept comes in. I got to promote my body, promote my figure. Men do the same thing. You always see these GQ magazines. They got these athletes butt booty naked with balls doing these awkward poses. Like, bro, that was never something that our men should affiliate with. Neither should our women. But in the prostitution that I'm talking about right now, there's another definition for it. And I got it. It's from the 1820. I believe it's the third definition. Yes, sir. Read that.
Prostitute, definition 3. To offer or expose upon vile terms.
So like we just said, part of it is to offer, and you're getting a vile exchange. I'll give you X amount of $100, X amount of $1,000 to give your body to me. That is a vile term. All right? But there's another term, or another way that is considered prostitution. Read.
Or to unworthy persons.
How many times do we convince our daughters to look for men that are unworthy according to biblical terms? Our parents, our people, our women, our men will convince our daughters, you got to find someone who might be morally corrupt, but they at least got a bag, and they'll secure you financially. Or you know what? We look in certain Asian countries, they will only push you to marry white men.
Yep.
There's certain Judaic or black families, Mexican families that only push you to marry a certain type of person, regardless of their characteristic, regardless of the trait. I just need a certain face in my family. I need a certain image in my family. I need a certain look in my family. What he's saying is prostitution is also exposing your daughter to people that are unworthy, that are people that are morally corrupt, that will morally defile her, spiritually defile her. All right? What else is in that? Leviticus 19. Read that again.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 29. It says, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom.
Because in the process of this woman being taught, she has to look for a certain image of a man, a certain idea, character trait of a man. She has to go fishing now.
Yeah.
She has to go fishing. You know what? This person is the master person that my mama and daddy told me to look for. This person is the master person that society told me to look for. So I'm going to keep going from person to person to decide who I want to settle on. And then they come to the conclusion later on in life that it was all for nothing. Maybe the high school sweetheart I had would have been the person to stay with. Maybe the college sweetheart I had would have been the person to deal with. That could have been the person I should to invest into. But they get so far in being convinced. So a lot of times I can't even blame on the parents. It's society that will teach our women to operate in this certain mindset. That it's okay and morally correct to operate in this certain mindset. But you were raised by spiritual people. There's a lot of women that came from churches, that used to sing in the churches, that were turned down, quote unquote. A lot of women, a lot of people that have been given a false dream of what relationships should look like. And then when they find out, it's too late to make a change. Or they're too far in. So, read on from the top again.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wicked.
So this was a law the Most High gave us all the way back in the time of antiquity. We weren't supposed to give our daughters to whoredom, and we weren't supposed to embrace whores. All right? Now this isn't a bash on women. This is a concept that men also are under the same constraint. Just like women were not allowed to give, or not allowed to be given unto unworthy persons, neither were men. Now, give me Tobit 4 verse 12 through 13. This part of the class is very important we're going to start hearing, if you haven't been paying attention to what is being brought out, what is being taught now by our camp specifically. That the knowledge and the understanding is increasing. We're no longer resting the words of the Most High, and I feel like that's a problem that a lot of Israel will do. Our people will do, because we all try to find our perspective in the scriptures, but we gotta let God teach the perspective. This isn't about opinions. This isn't about what we believe personally. It's about what the Most High believes. All right. So, on that topic, on that note, we've been dealing with the nations, how the Most High feels about the nations. If you've been watching the Sabbath classes, this has been the driving topic. And you're starting to see it more and more that the Most High does have some attention. He gives some attention to the nations. Yeah. That doesn't mean we give attention to the nations. Right. And I'm explaining what that means. All right? Because you're going to start hearing these concepts, and your perspective on what your original taught is right and wrong might start changing. So we're going to clear it up. Any confusion, especially when it comes to marriage. Right. Give me that Tobit 4 and verse 12.
Tobit 4 and verse 12. Beware of all whoredom.
Okay, so we're on the same topic again. Beware of all whoredom. All right? What Tobit's going to explain, this is a message to his son. He's going to explain what this whoredom consists of. All right? Read on.
Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy father.
It says, chiefly or carefully take a wife of the seed of our fathers. All right? Keep it in your familial line. Keep it in your heritage line. I was trying not to say, yeah, but keep it amongst our tribes. Don't go wandering outside of tribes, wandering outside of beliefs, wandering outside of morals. Stay with what you know. This is why a mother and a father would have a problem with whoredom. Because you were taught a certain way to live. Why are you changing from that way? Why are you going outside of what you've been taught growing up? Why are you changing belief systems? Why are you compromising what you know is right and wrong? This is what happens when you start dealing with other people that weren't a part of your thought process or your original teachings. All right? I'm going to get more clear on that. Keep reading.
And take not a strange woman to wife.
It says, take not a strange woman to wife. A strange woman is a woman. Now, this encompasses a couple things. All right? A strange woman, first and foremost, is of a nation that is not your own. All right? A strange woman is a foreign nation that is not part of the 12 tribes, that was not given to us from the beginning. They were not meant to be our wives. All right? Just like they were also not meant to be our husbands. It goes both ways. It's going to explain why. There's a law reason, but there's also a psychological reason why you shouldn't deal with someone that's not your own nation. Now, the other definition of a strange woman is anybody who is contrary to your belief. That I also can include the nation, but it also can include of our own people that's just completely opposite and is in no means trying to make any changes for Christ. All right, so these are two definitions of strange woman. We're going to focus on the nation. All right, that's not our own nation. Read on.
And take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe.
Is this my opinion, class? Is this coming? Did I write these words? All right. So just for those that are online tuning in, if you're hearing something that you didn't know or hearing something strange, hey, I didn't write this Bible. So, you can believe what you want about who I am or who I think I am. I believe in the scriptures. If you believe in the scriptures, you can believe in what's being said right here. All right? Fair enough? All right, read on.
For we are the children of the prophets. Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land.
So he's giving our pedigree. We're of a special breed, a special children coming from a special line of forefathers. All right? And he's saying all of our forefathers follow a specific heritage. We all kept our cultures. Moab understands this. They keep their culture. This is why they're so heavily enforced. Do not marry outside your culture. If you go to China, they're going to say it's only Chinese and nothing. Or you will disowned. You will literally be disowned from your whole family if you want to step outside. The only exception is maybe an American white man. That is the only exception. But other than that, you better not bring home no Negro. Don't bring home no African. Don't bring no Latino. No, none of that. You're gonna stay within our family line. And that's pure point blank. All right. So there are people, there are nations that keep this custom. That keep this because everyone understands that in the beginning, the Most High did not create it to be so. We were all not to be mixed and mingled and mashed up.
Right.
The Most High did create separations and differences amongst each and every person, each and every family line. Some keep traditional values, and others like to mix and mingle. This is where you get America. This is where you get Europe from. Keep mixing and confusing peoples. Now, there's a psychological reason behind that, but ultimately, it's breaking the law. Read on.
Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not. Right.
Read from top.
Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren.
So what he's saying is, again, this is a message to a son. Love your brother, and don't hate your brother in your heart. What does he mean by that? Keep reading. How would you hate your brother in your heart? Read on.
And despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people.
Okay, the sons and daughters, he's getting specific. Don't hate your people in your heart, the sons and the daughters. How are we considered to hate our people, our brethren, and our sisters in our hearts? Read on.
In not taking a wife of them.
What is the psychological damage that's done amongst our people when we make a conscious decision to not marry amongst our own people?
Are you asking?
I'm asking.
Oh, Lord. So I know, for instance, in Judah and in Issachar, when you go outside, and typically when they go to those of a fairer skin, for the Judite woman, it's like, okay, you're a sellout, so to speak, or I'm not good enough, right? And it's actually both. It's vice versa for men.
Yeah.
But when they go and when you deal outside of your nation or your tribe, it's like, dude, what are you talking about? It's actually a slap in the face.
And this is what he's saying right now. He's saying, I'm giving the floor. He's saying, when you make a decision to marry outside of your parents, you make a decision to marry outside of your tribe, your bloodline. What you're saying is, I hate my bloodline. To despise means to hate. I hate the black man. If I'm a Judite and I marry outside of a Judite, Issacharite, Reubenite, Asherite, all 12 tribes, I hate that set of people. I think this set of people is more favorable. We're not going to sit here and act like there's more beautiful women on the Edomite side than there is on the 12 tribes. That's delusional. But what we will say is, that they're easier to talk to.
Easier to talk to.
Look, come on now. They're soft-spoken, They listen to me. We'll say these very vague and carnal things. Look, we're not going to act like all Judite women are loud. That's not realistic. A lot of them are, but not all of them are. Not all Issacharites are loud and obnoxious and rebellious. Just like not all black men are lazy and can't get a job. Or all Issachar men are sitting here, got 4 or 5 families. These are thought processes that women have when they're sitting here making a marriage choice. They make I've actually heard this before. They're like, I don't want no Issachar. Because if I get an Issachar, he might have a family in Mexico. I wouldn't even know about it. See, he's gone 6 months of the year. Sheesh. Maybe. It happens sometimes. That's not the point. The point is, I got to make it light because this is actually a really serious discussion, all right? But what it's saying is, if you choose outside of your family line, it shows contempt for your own family. How many black mothers got to sit here and entertain a woman that looks completely opposite of them? Because their son brought home a white woman. Their son brought home an Asian woman. They look nothing like you. Got no cultural similarities. They don't know what it's like to smell hot burning hair in the morning from a hot iron. They don't know what the seasoning smells like in the morning on a Sunday morning. There's cultural differences. Yeah. There's ideology. There's thought process. There's moral differences that are not something that you should bring home to your family. We understand this now on a small scale, but back in the day, this is life and death. You're passing on a heritage to somebody else. You're passing on a whole belief system. You're passing on a whole power to the next generation. The reason why you keep it amongst your own family is to help the transitioning of power go to them. The knowledge go to them. The understanding of them how to please the Most High, how to keep in His good favor. I was looking at Solomon. We're going to get into Solomon in a little bit. Part of the reason why Solomon ticked off the Most High so much is he had all these different women. He had 1,000 wives. And all these different children spoke different languages. You know what the problem was? You have a bunch of kids that speak different languages than your own ancestral language. How are they going to read the scriptures? The Bible was not translated in Moab back in the day. Not at that time. It was not translated in Russian. It was not translated in Greek. It was not translated in Spanish. It was Hebrew. And that was it. You got a bunch of kids, a bunch of bastard children, according to the scriptures, not my words, that did not speak the same language. Now they have a disconnect in heritage. They have a disconnect in history. What are you going to say, Amiathi?
Yeah, just what you were saying. When a woman marries another man outside, you're breeding out your people. And when a man does it with a woman, when a man marries outside of his people, he's breeding out those traditions, those ceremonies.
Okay.
Just like you were saying.
And what it's also doing is to make the decision to go outside your marriage does show you have hate or contempt. Biblically, it says that you have contempt or hate or despise your own people. But you know what it also does? It creates this contempt and hate outside. If you go to South America, who's the favored color in Brazil, in Guatemala, in Venezuela? Yeah, of our own people. They're Venezuelan as well. Is there not a priority of a fair skin?
Yeah, the light is
If you're not, you negrito. You negrito.
negrito. Negro.
This is what it is. You're the darky, you're blacky. That's what you consider out there.
Negro.
And you're looked at as less than. You're the same people. You probably had the same mother. But if you're more light skinned, you're the favorite child. Off rip. There's a psychological damage going on here that's been going on for thousands of years. When you read Hosea 7:8, it says Ephraim doesn't know they lost their own strength because they mixed themselves amongst the people. That's why they're cake unturned. A cake unturned is brown on the bottom and it's white on the top still. It's fair skin because I'm mixing and mingling nations. I'm mixing and mingling cultures. Is it about black and white? No. But it adds to it. It adds to the problem. Now we have a identity crisis among our people. We have young girls with kinky hair, but they got white mothers. They don't know who they are. They straight iron their hair for 13 years straight, trying to look like their mother. Damaging their scalp, damaging their hair, putting dangerous chemicals in their hair just to look like their mother, but that wasn't what it was supposed to be. You have natural hair. You have 3C, you have 4C type hair. Why are you doing this to your hair? You know why? You got caught up in the somatic ideals of beauty. You got caught up in the concept to believe that white women or this particular hairstyle, this particular look is the priority. This is the favorite look. Your mom looks like it. Your mama's friends look like it. And you know what? Your daddy likes it too. That means what? If I look like her, I will get the attention of the man that I want. You see the psychology going on here? This is a slow, gradual process. But it all started in what decision did you make, black man, when you prioritized the white woman over your own people? Many of options. Patrick Mahomes. You look at Patrick Mahomes' children right now, they look like fairy white babies. You would not know who their father is. I promise you that. You wouldn't know Patrick Mahomes' daddy was a black man. You wouldn't know that. Patrick Mahomes went to the school in Texas. There was a lot of black women over there. Right next to Dallas. You don't tell me there's no beautiful black woman in Dallas you could have chose? You chose the high school sweetheart. That was a white woman. And then your whole generation is going to be even more confused than they already are. They didn't grow up believing they were white. That was never the case. That was never supposed to be the case. Who raised their hand? I lost. What you got?
I was gonna say, man, it's crazy you bring that up out here. Man, it's something when you watch movies and TV shows, like we even see the message behind when a black man brings a white woman around his family and the dinner table, how all the families be looking at him weird, like, what you bringing home, bro? Yeah. You could see the disappointment in the family faces in some of these movies and TV shows, but it's all right there. Right? The message is right there.
We don't get into it. Let's finish that verse. We'll get right into that point too. Because the Most High does give us a curse in exchange. That curse is familial unrest. How many years is it going to take to convince this racist white man to respect you as a black husband to his white daughter? Sometimes it never happens. Sometimes family members will put in their will, unless you break up with that person, you ain't getting this inheritance. They'll go out and they'll complete this on their whole family because you made the contrary choice. Read on.
God.
Yes, sir.
Tobit 4 and 13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, and not taking a wife of them. For in pride.
So the Most High calls it what?
Pride.
It says the Most High calls it pride when you make the decision. You were taught to deal and operate a certain way. You were taught to look for a certain spouse, but you wanted the unworthy person because they're worthy in your eyes. Your opinion was more important than the Most High's opinion. That's why it's pride. Read on.
For in pride is destruction and much trouble.
What trouble comes up? We've already named some of them when you deal outside your marriage. Now you're battling cultures. You're battling concepts. You're battling belief systems. You got one half of the family pushing their child to believe in one thing. You got the other half of the family pushing the child to believe in the other thing. Whole bunch of confusion. Now you got one son wants to follow his mom, one son wants to follow his father. Now the kids are having wars amongst each other because they don't agree with each other. They're picking and choosing. There's no harmony in the house. You bring your children around in-laws, they clowning your children. Oh, that baby's black. I don't know about him. We don't want him around. You got no support on the in-law side. You got no support from your own married-in family because it was never supposed to mix and mingle. There was a study done the other day, and it was talking about the most racist pastor in the United States right now. And the podcaster was clowning this man. You know what he said? He said, if you white girls want to bring up a black boy up here to get married, I'm not going to do it. Because it's against God's laws. And I'm not going to sit here consciously and break God's laws just because of your feelings. I was like, hey, that's a fair point. That's awesome. That's a fair point right there, white man. I like that guy. God likes that guy. That guy tell the truth right now. He ain't sparing no feelings. He said, look, I don't care if you don't like me. You can leave the church like this if you want. It's not supposed to happen. You know, we're the black extremists, though, so it's known for us to say some crazy stuff like this. Some socially off-the-wall stuff like this. Well, if a white man say this, I'm like, hey, man, you know, good job, man. But this is how society looks at this concept. That's why I said it's controversial. It's not if you've been in the Bible, but it is if you're so caught up in, if you're so choked by the cares of the world. The cares of the world says everybody has free choice. Everybody can do as they will. Why are you restricting my marriage options? Don't you know it's hard out here? How many good black men can I find out here? How many good Mexican men can I find out here? Steve is nice. Steve got a good job. You're making it harder for me. Now I gotta wait. Now I have to wait for the Lord to give me the man I need. When I got Steve right here, who makes a good job. He's lame. He ain't got no seasoning. But you know what? I'll at least get a job. At least get a decent living sense. There's people that make these conscious decisions. Great credit score. He's consistent. He's there every day. You know, his family smiles at me. His family hates you, by the way, but they'll smile. Esau does a really good job of smiling at you and hating you when you leave. They will talk the most crap, but in front of you, they'll smile. Becky will smile. And it'll be a little thin two-piece layer smile they got. Like I know it's fake. I know, yeah.
There it is.
I know you don't like me.
There it is.
But at least you're not abrasive. Jake gonna tell you, like, I don't like this guy. Yeah. Get this dude out of my face. But what's the point? We compromise because you know what? It's harder to have to sit here and find the right man. It's harder to sit here and find or we just don't want the right man. We look at the Jake that's in class, that's smart, that's book smart, that's boring. If we do deal with our people, it's the worst of our people. How many times does that happen? And then we get mad at our people because we made a bad choice. They were bad people. Then we go to the other side. Well, you know what? Steve would never do this to me. Steve wouldn't hit me. Steve wouldn't sit here and talk about me like that. But you made the bad. Yeah, like every Jake and every Issachar is just out here wearing white beater t-shirts. Like just out here just thugging. That's not even realistic. There's some book nerds out there. But you didn't want the book nerd because the book nerd, he wasn't charismatic. The book nerd didn't make you laugh like you wanted to make him laugh. And for the men, look, we can go on the men all day long. Going back to the Semitic ideals of beauty, I see every day white women as the image of success. All the successful people in the world got these white women on their arms. Since birth, I look at granddaddy's laptop, I got white women on the thing. I look at Pop's phone, there's white woman there he idolized. Magazines, White women everywhere. TV shows, movies, white women everywhere. Yeah, so you're trained to believe white women were the ideal choice. For me, I grew up in a white neighborhood. So you know what? I had a hard problem. I had a problem finding black women that were actually attracted to me. You know why? There's only 2 black women in the whole school. So my choices, 2 black women or 3,000 white women. It gets very difficult after a while. It wasn't until I went into college and there was a whole bunch of black people. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty dope. I didn't even notice many black people existed in one area. That, depending on where you grew up, could also change your perspective on what you want or who you want as a person. Now, luckily for me, I knew the Bible, and I was drilled in the Bible to know who and who not to deal with. But if you weren't told that or taught that, then yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that little scenario. And now you with somebody that the Most High told you from the beginning, it was unlawful. It was unlawful and not for you, because you were chosen. You were supposed to have a specific seed or a specific line of people that was untainted. Again, this could come off as being pure pseudo Negro or whatever you want to call it. I'm telling you what the Bible is saying. Keep reading.
For in pride is destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want.
He calls this act a lewd act. This is an unlawful sexual act. This is against the laws. This relationship, this style relationship, is against the laws. Keep reading.
For lewdness is the mother of famine.
Yep, let that go. Let's go to Nehemiah 13 and verse 22. I might have to change the topic of this class, man. I'm not even get to the meat of it.
Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 22.
Yep, going down to 27.
Right before Job. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 22. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come up and keep the gates, to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my power, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy. Verse 23. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people.
Yep, read on.
Verse 25. And I contended with them and cursed them.
So the Most High says what?
And I contended with them and cursed them.
He's trying to show us from the beginning it had never changed in any part of the Bible. This was unlawful. The Most High understood. The reason why he's putting this in Nehemiah and put it in Tobit, where were we at in Nehemiah and where were we at in the time of Tobit? Were we in Israel? We were in captivity, so. So he said, even in captivity, this is still unlawful. I know your choices are broad. I know there's more people put in front of you. But you're still supposed to keep the customs of old. You shouldn't have a bunch of diverse cultures and belief systems mixed and mingled in your own household. Read on.
Verse 25. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by the Most High, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto sons or for yourselves. Did not Solomon, king of Israel?
No, hold on, read it. You missed that part. You shall not give your daughters.
You shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons for yourself.
Or for yourself.
Or for yourself.
So what he's saying is, just like it's unlawful for the woman to deal outside the marriage, it's just as unlawful for the man to deal outside the marriage. He's setting the stage clear as day. This is not opinion. This is in the Bible. The same Bible you read, or you're supposed to be reading. Maybe not them NIVs. Somebody took it out there. But in the King James original version, it's in there. Read on.
Verse 26. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things?
Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his power. And the Most High made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin.
So as great as Solomon was, as wise as he was, he still fell in the same trap that most of our people fall into every day. In my pride, I'm going to go contrary to the Most High is telling me to do. I'm going to pick and choose the parts of the Bible that I believe in, that I agree with. And everything else, I'll go do me. Read on.
Verse 27. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil?
And this is what you're saying. Should I tell you to keep continuing the process of curses? Why am I going to tell our people to keep cursing? And it's okay to curse. When I know the Most High is obviously telling, sitting in the line of what you should and should not do. It's our job as teachers to disseminate the truth so you can say in the Most High's good favor. Now, if you choose to go contrary and do you, hey, that's between you and the Most High. Our job is to blow the trumpet. Our job is to warn. After that, you have a decision to make. You have a lifestyle change to make. Read on.
To transgress against our power in marrying strange wives.
And this is the point. This is the commandment. Don't step outside your or your heritage, your people, to make a marriage decision. Ezekiel 23 and verse 28.
Ezekiel chapter 23 and verse 28. For thus saith the Most High, Behold, I will deliver thee into the hand of them whom thou hatest, into the hand of them from whom thy mind is alienated.
It says, I'm going to deliver you because you want to make this contrary choice. You want to push for this desegregation so bad. You want to push for intermarriage so bad. I'm going to give you the hand of people that hate you. This is why the white man was fighting so hard not to intermarry. For 100 years. Do not intermarry. I'm going to create laws. I'm going to lynch. Why do you think lynching was so prevalent? If you looked at a white man when you're getting lynched. We know that's off. That's extreme. But the Most High allowed it to happen. Why? Because in our heart, we was against them white women. We did want to cross. We did fantasize about going to the other side. That was part of our mindset. He says, since you want to push for this alienated people so bad, I'm going to give them to you. And you're not going to enjoy it. Read on.
Verse 29. And they shall deal with thee hatefully.
They're not going to accept you. And they never will accept you. You can try to mix and mingle all you want. You can push different laws, push different concepts, try to re-indoctrinate a whole new generation. The Most High is not going to allow it. He's always going to have these people be an adversary to you, to dissuade you from making this decision. Read on.
And shall take away all thy labor, and shall leave thee naked and bare, and the nakedness of thy whoredoms shall be discovered, both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms.
The result of you making a decision, the Most High is going to leave you bare, and He's going to embarrass you. Embarrass your lewd thought process. Embarrass your lewd decision. Unlawful sexual decisions. Unlawful partner choices. Read on.
Verse 30. I will do these things unto thee, because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen.
So what is whoring also consisted of?
Going after
No.
other nations.
Whoring is also consisted of going after and marrying and dealing with other nations.
Yeah.
This is something you should be ashamed from. This is the thought process you shouldn't entertain. No matter what you're being taught, what you're being fed by society, this does not change. The Most High is the same today as He was yesterday.
Right.
And that's not changing. Finish it up. We're going to let that go.
God, it says, I will do these things unto thee, because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols.
Because the immediate result of you dealing with different nations is you start dealing with their idols. You can't help it. You have no force to prevent your wife from teaching your son or your daughter idolatry when you leave the house. Idolatry them a whole different belief system when you're not there. You have no power over them. Just like the woman. You have no power. No matter what you were grown up in to believe in, you have no power to control this husband to teach your children what you believe in. So it's in your best interest to deal with like-minded individuals. What you got?
I'm gonna say it don't matter how cool they are.
No.
It don't matter. They believe something. Things you got in common, music, clothes, whatever.
Look, how many relationship separations happened in 2020 when the riots was going on? When you had all these interracial households going on. They had some that were, some sellouts that were just pure, these black folks need to stop robbing and stop breaking in and marching. They should understand they have equal rights now. Then there were some households that straight just broke apart. Because I don't agree. You got the white side, arguing for stopping marching and stop protesting and just accept where you're at and stay at the house. And other parts like, hey, we got unequal rights here. We have some disparities going on here that need to be voiced. This is just some of those worries and some of those troubles and contentions you'll have just based off of different cultural systems. What are you going to say?
No.
All right, well, there you go. So, that was the first part of this. The whole class not on this. The topic is sincerity promotes favor. All right, but when I'm breaking down the whole chapter or the half of the chapter, and this is part of the chapter we couldn't skip over. All right, but there goes. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes 41 and verse 17.
Ecclesiastes chapter 41.
Before I go on, is there any questions? Is there any debates that want to be had right now?
So what you saying is that's one aspect of whoredom, right?
That is one of the aspects in whoredom that we should avoid in front of parents, in front of father and mother. You know why? Because your mom and daddy didn't tell you to deal with no white woman. Your mom and daddy didn't tell you to deal with no Moab man. No strange, contrary nation. So no debates. Online.
I got a question.
You got a question? Con, what's up?
Is that the same thing? Let's say for our children, right? Schools always make diversity of different people, different nations, right? That's the same concept with our children having friends. Let's say they're horny and they have friends like they
No. I stated in the beginning we're not a hate group. All right. It's going to be clear if we get to the end. We're not going to. But let's say on the far chance we get to the end of the class, or on the part 3 that's brought out, it's going to be clear how we should treat the nation. I'll give a little bit of it. This is a little bit. There's going to be a whole class come behind it. I have to sit in that class because it has to come out more as far as from the others. What's up?
This is a question to pose just for clarity's sake.
Mhm.
You say going outside of your marriage, that's heritage, correct?
Yes.
Outside of heritage.
Going outside your heritage.
Question.
We should not be going outside of our heritage. And that's why I said in the beginning, it's partly dealing with strange nations. And it's also, if our own people, that does not want to make a change. Those are also considered strange people. Strange men or women. Anybody that does not want to follow the Bible, they're strange. But we're specifically talking about nation-wise. Stay within your nation. The culture can't change. The heritage can't change. The belief system can't change. That's why the Most High was pushing it so heavy during that time and in this time. So, we're at 41 in verse 17. That it will be answered, Kariah. But as far as having white affiliates, being okay or being able to socialize, being able to group amongst, being able to be
friends.
I was using every word but that. Associates. Because a friend is something that is not replaceable. We read in the scriptures. Don't trade a new friend for an old friend, right?
Yeah.
Their value is put very high. Sometimes friendships turn to brotherhood, sisterhood. What I'm saying is there's a way to operate amongst nations to where you're not contentious, to where you're not hateful, to where you're not sitting here going to war with a bunch of Ghazians and Palestinians marching the streets because you want to be pseudo-righteous and pseudo-black men. That example that some Israel does put out there is not how we operate. Again, we're not sitting here cursing nations out, calling them out the name, because the Bible doesn't do that. If Christ didn't abhor the Edomite, if Christ didn't talk bad about the Samaritan, then why am I going to sit here and do that? Am I greater than my master? No. What you got?
And everything you're bringing out goes under the 5th commandment: honor thy father and thy mother.
Part of honoring your father and mother is honoring your father and your mother is sticking to what you were told, sticking to what you were taught growing up. This is why it's important to teach our children there is a difference. To teach our children, hey, you should have these relationships and you shouldn't have these relationships. To teach our children, hey, you have to prioritize this way of thinking, this belief system. Don't just let them do what they want to do and figure it out themselves. And they'll eventually come back to God. That doesn't work. Sometimes they don't come back to God. So, Ecclesiastes 41 and verse 17 again.
Ecclesiastes chapter 41 and verse 7 reads, Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man.
It says, don't lie in front of a prince and a mighty man. What does a prince and a mighty man represent?
Authority.
Yes, sir. Someone that dictates and controls the good and bad in your life. At a job, right? That means I shouldn't be sitting here known for being a liar at a job. Because that person can end your job career at any moment of the day. But in this realm, lying in general is unseemly. It shouldn't just be limited to those in higher levels of authority. Because the Most High has a personal vendetta against lying. Give me Proverbs 6 and verse 16 through 17. You don't have to hold it, sir. We're going to keep bouncing back and forth, so just go through the line.
Okay. Proverbs 6 and 16.
Uh-huh.
These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yeah, 7 are an abomination unto him.
So there's 6 things the Most High hates. We're not going to read all 6. And the 7th thing the Most High has an abomination, it feels or associates with an abomination. Read on.
A proud look, a lying tongue.
A proud look and a lying tongue the Most High cannot stand. The Most High despises. You can't sit here and have a lying tongue if you want to operate in the good grace of the Most High. And you also can't be proud, thinking you know everything, and thinking you can't be told anything if you want to operate in a pleasing sight, in a favorable sight, in the Most High and in men. Because a liar is hateful of man and God. Just like a proud look or a proud man is hated by the Most High and God. So let that go. Let's go to Proverbs 26 and verse 28.
Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 28. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it.
What does that mean? When you lie, you got it?
When you lie against somebody, or when you bear false witness, that causes contention with that person that you lied on. In one aspect.
Yeah. The other aspect is when you lie, and you know it's going to affect other people, and you stay with that lie, it shows you actually hate the person that you're affecting. For instance, going back to a job setting, if I know that there's $100 missing in the account right now, there's an uneven balance. There was 5 of us that worked. The manager comes in and says, "Look, if y'all don't sit here and tell me who did it, everybody gets fired." And you keep on with that lie. What it shows is you hate the rest of the people around you. Because you're willing to sit here and let the whole body fall, the whole team fall and get fired, then fess up to say you're the one who took that money.
Damn, man, that's crazy. God damn. I'm sorry.
Does it not happen in Israel all the time? I let everybody else push and do these push-ups, then sit here and say I'm the one that was off. I was off the walls. I was out of pocket.
But then they'll tell you after it's done.
Yeah, it's me.
Own up.
I gotta go super heavy in investigation, Sherlock Holmes, to get every little detail. I get dust off the fingerprints, analyze who could have been there, who timestamps, who was there at this time, and what was their objective. The point of the matter is, if you let this thing persist and you're adamant about it, you'll allow others to fall around you. And that's what the most says. You hate those that you lie. A lying tongue hateth those that are affected by it. You rather them be affected than you come clean and let that stain be on you. Versus just being upright, being sincere from the get-go. If you want to know the quickest way to lose favor in men's eyes and the Most High's eyes, keep a lie going. And let others be affected by that ongoing lie. So, let go. We're going to start running through these concepts a little bit. Oh, no, never mind. One more verse. Ecclesiastes 20 and verse 26. 20 verse 26.
Ecclesiasticus.
Yes, and the Apocrypha.
Ecclesiastes 20 and 26.
Yep.
The disposition of a liar.
The mentality of a liar. The way a liar thinks. Read on.
The disposition of a liar is dishonorable.
It's dishonorable. Meaning, you're not going to gain favor with that mentality. You'll never gain favor with that mentality. Read on.
And his shame is ever with him.
And we know why it's ever with him. Because when that liar is found out, you know what? The people, now you've lost trust. Now you've lost reliability. Now you've lost credibility as a man or a woman. If you just got a slick and a quick lying tongue, you're accustomed to letting others believe in a false report. It says that person, their shame is with them forever. So if you want to win favor amongst a body, don't be a liar. Don't be someone that can't be trusted. Someone that can't be relied on. Someone that will allow others to fall on your foolishness, on behalf of your foolishness, and not own up to them. Let that go. Let's get back into Ecclesiastes 41.
Come.
Why are we doing all this bouncing? I'm taking the time to explain each verse line by line because all these different character traits is what you need to master or at least have a good grasp on if you want to maintain favor amongst men and the Most High. That's why the topics might seem different. When we're talking about whoredom, the next about lying, this is just how this particular class is written. All right? For those that are new, they're not always like this. Sometimes they're just singular on one topic. But for now, we're going chapter-based. Chapter breakdown. So read on to verse 18.
Come, verse 18.
Yep.
Of an offense before a judge and ruler, of iniquity before a congregation of people.
So it says, be ashamed of an offense before a judge and a ruler. Meaning what? When I'm told I'm off, and I'm on the hot seat now, and I'm in the seat of chastisement, don't have that haughty look. Don't have that proud look. When it's time to be corrected, humble down. Take the check. Take the chastisement. Admit your fault. Instead of persisting on your way of thinking, on why you don't agree. This is what it's saying. It says, and of iniquity before a congregation and people. Give me Tobit 4 and verse 15. It's saying, do not offend the congregation. How could you offend the congregation? In what ways? We're going to do a couple ways, but at least a couple that I've seen. But read that in Tobit 4 and 15 real quick.
Tobit, chapter 4, verse 15. It says, do that to no man which thou hatest.
So is that not the golden rule? Essentially, if you want to avoid offending people in general, don't do to somebody what you wouldn't want done to yourself. That can encompass a whole lot of different things. But if you stay within that parameter, you would never offend anybody. Wrongfully. You still might offend them for being righteous, but that's a different topic. When it comes to offending wrongfully, when you know you're out of pocket, if you didn't do it to them, if you didn't talk to them the way you wouldn't be talked to, if you didn't deal with them the way you wouldn't be dealt with, if you wouldn't lie to them the way you wouldn't be lied to, then you wouldn't have a lot of the issues that we have as a nation today. That's one aspect. Another aspect, go to Psalms 101 and verse 5. Somebody else give me Deuteronomy 22 and verse 1 through 3.
Psalms 101, huh?
Yes, sir.
Psalms 101, verse 5. It says, whatever you're ready.
Yep.
Psalms chapter 101, verse 5. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off.
The Most High has warned us, if I can't talk about somebody in a positive way, then I shouldn't talk about them at all. If the only mentality I have, the only thought process I have on a particular person is negative, and it spews out of my conversation, then I can't have that conversation. The Most High let us know, if that is you, and that's your spirit, He'll cut you off as well. Read on.
Him that hath an high look
and in proud heart will I not suffer.
It says, them that have a high look, then you got that pride again. You can't be told nothing. We just read that earlier. Can't be told nothing. Can't take a check. It says, and it says a proud look and a what?
It says, him that hath an high look,
Yeah.
and a proud heart will I not suffer.
He's explaining these people I'm not going to have patience with. I'm not going to allow their folly to keep manifesting, keep growing. I'm just going to cut them off. Because if you're already at the pride mindset, you've already detached your mind from God at that point. We know that in Ecclesiastes 10. When you got into the pride where you can't be told anything, you're just above the law, you're just above correction, you're above change, you're above growth, then you can't be used anymore. You can't be maneuvered. Let that go. Give me Deuteronomy 22 and verse 1 through 3. Because all these things encompass ways that you could offend the congregation and the people. And this is what you should be avoiding. You should be ashamed and participating these particular traits. Read on.
Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 1.
Yep. Yeah, I'll figure it out. You got it.
Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them.
If I see some valuables, some goods that belong to somebody that I know, that belong to my brother or sister, if you want to maintain favor, if you want to show you love somebody and care about somebody, what it's showing is you can't turn a blind eye to it. Meaning I have to have the same level of care and the same level of alertness for somebody else's stuff just as my own stuff. Read on.
Come. And look, thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother.
It doesn't mean finders keepers, losers weepers. It don't mean, hey, you snooze, you lose. It means I found it, I know it ain't mine, and I know it probably belongs to somebody in the camp. On a job setting, I see these tools ain't mine. I know these tools is probably my brother's next to me. Instead of thinking, I'll let him pick it up and hope he remembers, I'm going to grab it and just take the initiative to give it to him anyway. Just so, by the off chance, he does forget it and the tool gets lost in anything. Keep reading.
Come, verse 2. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not,
It says, if that brother is not next to you, or you don't know where he's at that moment, read on.
then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it.
Forever?
Until that brother seek after it.
So if I don't know where he's at, but I know it's his, I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to spend it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to flip it. I'm going to pawn it. I'm going to hold on to it until I get the opportunity to give it back to him. Read on.
And thou shalt restore it to him again.
It said, and thou shalt restore it unto him again. Read on to verse 3.
Verse 3. And it says, in like manner shalt thou do with his ass, and so shalt thou do with his raiment, and with all lost things of thy brothers which he hath lost. And thou hast found, Shalakim, and thou hast found, shalt thou do likewise. Thou mayest not hide thyself.
And this is the point. It's not just cattle. It's not just one thing. This is a law to keep all of us in the mind of caring about other people's belongings. All right? What you got?
It's cool that what you're bringing out because it shows how easy it is for us to actually mess up or even offend our brothers despite not having a certain level of care.
Well, because what it shows is if we all say we love God, right, and we all say that we care about each other, you wouldn't do this to your loved one. You wouldn't do this to your direct family member. And if you do, you gotta change your way of thinking. But normally, most people, if it's someone I truly care about, I'm always looking out for their best. You can leave money around trusted people. I wouldn't say all family members. Some family members, they're not trustworthy, unfortunately. But there's certain people you would leave your children with. You would leave your money with. You would leave your car to. You would leave all personal belongings to because you trust them that much. They're saying we should have a relationship with everybody. It's a law To have a relationship, to look after each and every person's stuff, not take advantage of it, not steal it, not hide it, or not allow it to be lost or stolen. There's sometimes there's a conscious decision to sit here and just not care about anybody else's stuff except your own. Especially when you're forced to be in an environment around a bunch of different people, it gets very selfish. There's a lot of selfishness that goes on there. Well, he wasn't nice to me last week, so whatever happens to him, happens to him. That's on him. Or this person tipped me off a couple hours ago. I don't really care what's going on. I'm gonna leave his tools on the back of the truck and in a newly developed area. We know what happens when that goes on. When tools get gone in 5 minutes. This is real. I see this on the job all the time. This is a real thing that happens amongst our people. What you got?
On that verse 2 it says, thou shalt bring it unto thine house. That doesn't mean use it. You know, what if it's brand new and, you know, you wear it down. It says to
break it in.
I wash it. I get that to clean.
Restore it. So the same way you found it is the same way you give it back. You don't get it back
Exactly.
tattered. You don't get it back stripped.
Yep.
None of that.
And what that also means is like, if I gotta protect it.
Huh.
It means I gotta protect somebody else's goods if they're in my possession, in order to restore it in the same manner, the same position that they came in. There can't be one screw loose. There can't be one strand loose. It's gotta be exact same. It gotta be smelling the exact same. There's his fragrance on when he let me the shirt. Give it right back to him. All right, let that go. Let's get back into Ecclesiastes 41 verse 18.
Ecclesiastes chapter 41, verse 18 reads, of an offense before a judge and a ruler, of iniquity before a congregation and people, of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend, and
Of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend. What it means is no usury. I can't lend to somebody and expect some increase back. You give me 2.5%, but it's like Bank of America. You know, I need to double my money on this one. I'm gonna get you for 3 months, but you know, I need 3 months in advance right now. He says no usury. It says
going into business and
yeah. Oh, but
Borrowing and loaning.
it's just borrowing and loaning. It's against the law for us to commit usury. I didn't want to go to the verse because I'm trying to get to the main point of the class. I want to get to the meat and potatoes. I don't want to be sitting here on greens all day. But the point is, no unjust dealings, no usury, no I have something else right now. No unequal distribution of agreed goods. That's the meat and potatoes right there. We're gonna find out what that means. If I have an agreement on what you should get in return of this service, or we have an agreement on what you should get in this work, I got to pay that agreement. And I'm not going to use a justifiable reason, or that's rational to me, to justify why I can't give you what we promised on. All right? We're going to find out a little more in this verse 19 right now. Read on.
and of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend, and of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest.
If you want one favor in somebody, don't go to a spot and something comes up missing. You better do your damnedest to make sure you are accounted for at all times, because they're gonna blame it on you. Don't be a thief and don't be a liar. You should have learned this a long time ago. This is part of the 10 Commandments. Shall not lie, I shall not steal. It's an old Judite saying that. It says if you lie, you steal, you kill. I was always told this to go in that lie. Like you're gonna be a murder, you're gonna be a mass murderer if you're lying. Right? It's gonna go on a rampage. Come on, bro. But this is important. If you want to win that favor, don't be caught stealing. Simple as that. Read on.
And of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of the Most High and His covenant.
In regard of the truth, meaning what? You respect what you believe in. You respect what you believe in. It says of the truth and the Most High. You take care of your belief system. And others around you know you believe in what you present. You believe in what you say believe. Psalms 119 and verse 63. Because to have a successful body and a successful group of people, you got to have a bunch of believers, a bunch of people that are locked into the same mindset, that have regard to the Most High, have regard to the truth. Not halfway believers, not in and out.
Call the verse again, so I'm sorry.
Psalms 119 and verse 63.
Psalms 119 and 63. I am a companion of them that fear thee.
Yep.
And of them that keep thy precepts.
So what did David say? I put myself around people that fear God like I fear God. And they have a regard to the precepts. They have a regard to the scriptures. You can operate successfully in a spiritual body that has regard to the scriptures, and that fears God like you fear. But if you want to lose favor quick, stop talking about the Most High. Stop pulling verses. Stop agreeing to verses. Always bring out conflicting mentalities that aren't biblical. That's how you lose favor in a body, in a spiritual group, very fast. It's simple enough. We understand that, but some people don't. Some people come in believing, I can still hold on to my old values, my old traditions, my old ways. I can come in my own belief system along with this belief. You can't mix and mingle this lifestyle. And people notice those who try to mix and mingle. People notice those who don't take regard to the truth and to the covenant. They take heed of that. They consider that. They compartmentalize that. So when you're trying to teach the Bible or you're sitting here around people, there's going to be an idea of fakeness associated with your name. Because you're not really living like you say you're living. All right? So, meat and potatoes. Go back to Ecclesiastes 41 and verse 19.
Come, Ecclesiastes chapter 41, verse 19 reads, And of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of the Most High and his covenant, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat, and of scorning to give and take.
What does that mean? What does it mean to lean over the table of thy meat? Lean over thine elbow upon the meat, and the scoring to give and take. Anybody can answer. Yeah. Yeah? What you got? Are you stretching or are you answering?
But you said basically said it from like.
Well, you say it again. So cool.
No, I was just gonna say it's just like being reluctant to give, kind of like not wanting to like, come on, see, type of thing.
Yeah. What it's called is envious. We're gonna find out that's a way to be envious. There's a way in giving, because envious also means grudging, which means unwilling, right? So there's a giving, and there's a way to give that's grudgingly, and people know it. People can identify that you really didn't want to invest into this. You really didn't want to sacrifice this. You didn't want to give these alms. You didn't want to give this favor, and that rubs you the wrong way. But what we're gonna find out in this story, in 1 Samuel 30 and verse 10, that this is a theme that David showed us how to operate. Get that real quick. 1 Samuel 30 and verse 10 through 13. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay. I've been trying to be a good guy with my hydration. Drinking about a gallon of water a day now. It's new for me. Anyway, 1 Samuel 30 and verse 10.
1 Samuel chapter 30 verse 10.
So why are we going here? We're going over the topic of to lean over thine elbow upon the meat and to scorn to give and take. We need a little more clarity on what this looks like. Yeah. Yep. All right. 1 Samuel's. Read that, sir.
1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 10. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor.
So, in this time, the city of Ziklag was ransacked. David's 2 wives were kidnapped, along with all the other soldiers' wives and children were kidnapped by some Amalekites. All right. So this is the setting. So there was originally 600 men, but 200 were faint. 200 were too weak from fighting. Again, David's on the run for a while now, so they've been constantly fighting. They're too weak from fighting, and 400 went, 200 stayed behind. All right. Read on.
Verse 11. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread. And he did eat. And they made him drink water.
Hold on. David did what to this Egyptian, this nation, in the field?
Brought him to David and gave him bread. And he did eat. And they made him drink water.
So, this man was about to die. This man hadn't eaten. I don't know if they got over it yet. No, they haven't got over it yet. But David found an Egyptian, a nation. He fed him and gave him water in the field. All right, read on.
Verse 12. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights.
So, before David knew the identification of this person, the nation of this person, the status of this person, why this person was in a situation, he saw someone in need. This person was about to die. 3 days, no food, no water. If you go more than 3 days without water, you have potential to die. So he's in a very critical state. And David extended out and gave without asking any questions. All right? Now give me verse 12. Verse 13, slacking.
Verse 13. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou?
He says, now he's asking, after I already fed you, I've restored your spirit, I've restored your body. Who do you belong to? Read on.
And whence art thou?
Who you belong to and where you coming from? Where are you from? Read on.
And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite.
He says, I'm an Egyptian. One. Now he's at the identification of this man that he just saved his life to. This Judite black man saved a nation's life. Read on.
It says, and my master left me because 3 days ago I fell sick.
Hold on, before I go there, I'm trying to make a point here. We just went into this explaining what it means to scorn and give, or scorning to give and take. What we're explaining is where the Samaritan law comes from, where the idea of doing good to somebody without discriminating comes from. That's why I preference in the beginning, we're not a hate group. Yeah, we are. We do promote separatism because the Most High does that. But that doesn't mean you don't treat the neighbor or a person that's not of your nation good if you have the means to give, if you have the means to protect, if you have the means to save. For instance, if I was CPR certified at one point in time, and in our training, they preface and explain to us, now that you have the knowledge to save lives, if you choose not to save a person's life, you can be arrested for a federal crime. The nations have this understanding. You can't pick and choose who you want to save when you have the means to give, when you have the means to save. But Christ said the same thing. Give me Luke 10 and verse 25. We're gonna come back to this.
Luke chapter 10, verse 25. And, behold, a certain lawyer stood and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And he said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou?
He said, the lawyer said, how can I get salvation? How can I enter the kingdom? And Christ said, do you read? What have you read to show you how to get to the kingdom? Read on.
It says, How readest thou? And he answering said, Thou said, Love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself.
Is this neighbor just your own Israelite brother that's across the street, that's across the farm, that's across the way? Or are we going to get a little more understanding behind this neighbor concept? Because a lot of times we've been taught for a long time, if it ain't your people, discard them. If it ain't your people, don't care for them. If it ain't your people, don't help them. But that's not what Christ pushed. That's not what David did. That's not what we're going to push. Read on.
Verse 28. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
He's saying, if you do everything you just told me, you'll make it. That's the answer. But the Pharisee wasn't done. Read on.
But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Yahushua, And who is my neighbor?
Why would he say justify himself? Because in our head, I've done good to my people. I've done good to my neighbor. I see him every day. We work together. I do great works to him. We take care of each other. We're brothers in Christ. That's why I say he's justifying himself. Because in his head, I already do that. So there must be something else. What you got?
It's like pump.
Hmm?
It's like a pompous material. You made it.
Yeah.
Talk about when.
Yeah. I'm already there. I've already been there. You know, I've been handling business. I stand on business.
Yeah, we're working with a guy at a warehouse like 2 or 3 years ago, and he's like, "I'm a good guy, you know. I put a roof over my family's head,
Pay my taxes."
But he's a jerk at work. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, you're not a good guy.
Yeah, kind of. To be a good guy, quote unquote, it encompasses a lot. It encompasses, one, your belief in the Most High, your sincerity towards following the Most High's laws, commandments, but also encompasses, are you just a good person in general? Are you a thoughtful person in general? Do you care for people in general? Or are you just too prejudiced to see past yourself? That's what we're going to find out right now. Because David could do that. David knows he ain't had no fringes on. We saw that Egyptian man sprawl on the ground. You got no fringes. I can tell you probably not a nation. And then when you find out he's a nation, we're going to find out he didn't even kill him. That's another story. We're going to get to that after. Read on.
Verse 29 again.
Yeah, you're putting on
says,
Israel. Yeah.
But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Yahushua, And who is my neighbor? And Yahushua answering said,
Yep.
A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead.
So this is an Israelite who is in a really bad estate right now. All right? Christ is giving a masterful parable right now, to where the lame man can understand this concept. All right? This is why, unfortunately, there's certain concepts that the Christian church have been on for a while now. We just been too blind to see it. We haven't been one to see it. But this is in the Bible, and it's plain as day. There's no way to misconstrue this and make it fit your own belief system. It says what it says. So read on.
Verse 31. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way.
So this is a Levite priest. He knows the scriptures. He reads every Saturday, every Friday night, and like the back of his hand. Read on.
And when he saw him, he passed by.
Know what he's saying? That brother probably sinned. That brother was a sinner. He got stung by the Lord.
The Lord is judging him.
Who am I to step in right now in the Lord's judgment? And he kept moving. He kept pushing. You're going to find out that Egyptian was also a sinner. That Egyptian was a sinner too. You'll get there. But anyway, keep going.
And when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise, a Levite, when he was at the place.
So Levi, he was also taught the laws too. He might not have been the head priest, but he knows the Bible too.
Right.
He's in there too. He's hanging the drapes. He's the porter. He's running messages. He's lifting heavy boxes, lifting lumber. He's heard enough scriptures right now to know this should be in the scriptures. Taking care of your neighbor, looking the good at the people should be in the Bible. Read on.
It says, and likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. But
so hold on, what you got? Hold on.
That's that interesting spirit. Like, well, at least I checked him.
Yeah. I looked. He's alive. He's breathing still.
I checked him.
I checked on him. Yeah. See, but there's a step that he can go further, and I like this verse in particular because the Most High names the occupation and the nation. He names the occupation and the nation, so this next part cannot be confused. Read on.
Verse 33. But a certain Samaritan.
So there's a Samaritan now. There is a nation in this story. There's someone who's not an Israelite that the Most High is promoting in this story, who's bragging about in this story. What did this Samaritan do? Read on.
As he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him.
So contrary to the other two godly men of the Bible, chosen men of the Bible, this nation, this rugged, dirty, lawless nation, decided, I'm going to have compassion on this person as a human being. I'm not going to let this person just die in front of me. I don't know how long he's been here. I don't know what his circumstances is. I don't know why he's in the position that he's in. But I'm going to help him. Read on.
Verse 34. Luke chapter 10, verse 34. And went to him and bound up his wounds.
I'm going to fix his wounds up. I'm going to stitch him up. Tie him up, put some alcohol on the stuff so there's no infections. You know what I mean? Read on.
Pouring in oil and wine. And set him on his own beast. And brought him to an inn.
So now I'm going to give you one of my beasts to give to you. That wasn't cheap, by the way. That's some money. I'm going to give you your own whip. Your own whip. You can go take care of yourself, G. So you can go where you got to go. I'm not asking for it back. I got the means. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not asking for a reward. I'm not asking for a blessing from you. I'm just going to give it to you because you need it. And if I don't give you this beast or this horse or this ass, there's no way you're going to survive when I leave you. Read on.
It says, and took care of him.
And brought him to an inn, so a living space. He brought him to an inn, hotel. He got his own whip now. He's in a hotel. It's fresh covers, fresh bed. Read on.
And took care of him.
Read on.
And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out.
So what that means is I stayed with him the entire night to make sure this brother is not going to die. He ain't get no fever from an infection. He's good. He's taken care of. You need some water. You need some food. I got you. After the next day, I'm going to leave. Go handle my business. Now that I know you're secure, you're taken care of. Read on.
It says, tomorrow when he departed, he took out 2 pence.
Now I'm going to get some money. I'm going to pay for this circumstance. Read on.
And gave them to the host, and said unto him, take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee.
He's got an open tab. He got, on my dime, on my namesake, he got an open tab. Whatever he needs for however long he needs to be here, he's going to be taken care of. What you got?
And he committed to coming back again.
Yeah. I'm going to check up on him again. I handle the business, but I'm going to come back just to make sure he's still good. This is a level of thinking that this particular nation had. This is a godly level of thinking. You know why? Because it's a godly level of compassion. There's stages to love. There's stages and levels to compassion. There's stages and levels to looking after the next man. Just because you don't want to see someone suffer. Like we read earlier, do not to others without hate. If you was out and about, no water, no drink, struggling, you would want someone to look after you. You want to eat somebody to come take care of you and give you a whip. And give you a place to stay. Let's be real. Yeah, I want a whip. I'll take your old 2005 whatever. Your old 2005 Mazda that you don't use no more. I'll take it. I'll stay in the hotel for a couple of days. I'm cool with that. I would love that. White man, thank you. What you got?
It's a lot.
No, you good, you good.
Compassion, the definition of all that is also means painful sympathy that excites action.
Yeah, because I can put myself so much in your shoes. I'm so empathetic to you. I gotta help you. My conscience won't allow me to let you suffer still. You ever seen someone homeless? And I've actually just really recently thought about this. There's a sadness to having to turn down homeless people every time. I'll never forget one time I was working at Papa John's. I think I told the story before. But it was my first time managing a position. I was downtown. And downtown, after about 7 o'clock, you start seeing some crazy things go on. Some crazy people coming in here. But there was one Israelite in particular. And he came in and you could tell he had no money. He wasn't trying to hustle me for some drugs. He's like, look, bro, I just need something to eat. And I'll never forget, I bought him a whole pizza and I was very excited about it. He was very grateful. I never saw him again. But that was a fulfillment that I always carried on from this point forward. But now, you see so many homeless people, it's like, dang, I don't have enough to give you. For instance, if you go to Mexico, right? It's sad when all the little children come up to you asking for this $1. And it's not going to stop. And if you give that $1 up, it's not going to stop. They got the friends, they got the primos, they got everybody coming from miles and miles away just to get $1 from you because they know you got it on you. And then eventually you're going to tell them no because you don't got that much money. Now you got to see them suffer and be sad while everybody else is happy and you can't do anything about it. It's supposed to tug on your emotions. Seeing someone in a situation that you're not in, that's lower than you, they're poor, they're depressed, they're emotionally damaged, they're physically in a bad spot, might even be strung out, should have an emotional pull on you. You shouldn't just be like, oh, well, that's on the God's cursing them. Oh, well. That shouldn't be the thought process. That was the Levi's thought process. That's why he looked. Okay. It's tough. Sit post. Just shake back. the priest didn't even give a thought about it. It's passed by out, bro. I got business to handle right now. That is not the correct way of thinking. That's why Christ used this particular scenario to show this nation has this level of mindset. Follow this mindset versus the other mindsets that you might have thought were right. That might have been of your own people. Meaning it's not nation-based. Love and compassion is not nation-based. It's not nation. It's not nation-specific. If you see a great example in a nation, then take that example. If you see a level of compassion and charity that you and your people don't have, take that example. That's godly. There's a spirit of wisdom in everything. Wisdom is not nation-specific. Wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. So Esau got some knowledge of being a good Samaritan. That's why they have a law telling you if you let someone die, you get imprisonment of 8 years. If you got the means to help and you choose not to help, you could get imprisonment. Keep reading.
Luke chapter 10, verse 36.
Is there any questions about that? Is this off the wall? Is a debate needed right now? Okay, I just had to make sure because there was some on Monday. Read on.
Luke chapter 10, verse 36. Which now of these thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves?
So now he's asking the Lord again. You asked me the question, who is my neighbor? Give me the answer. Who is the neighbor? Is it the Israelite that you know? Is it the priest that you know? Or is it a Samaritan that looked after your brother that nobody else did? Read on.
And he said, he that showed mercy on him. Then said Yahushua unto him, go and do thou likewise.
So Christ is saying, follow this nation's example of righteousness. In that particular field, in this particular instance, that's the neighbor you got to follow. That's the neighbor you invest in. That's the person you invest in. But this is what David did. David did the same thing. David didn't question who this person was, who the identity for this person is. And like we said earlier, that Egyptian that was down out, that had no water, no food, could have been sinning. He could have been off the walls. This is what blew my mind. I was always taught, if they're a sinner, you don't help them for nothing. This is what I've been told from the beginning. I fully believe it. But now I'm reading this, I'm like, man, I gotta actually help out a little bit. I actually, this is perfection. We're gonna prove it, but this is perfection. This is perfect compassion. All right. I don't want to keep speaking. Let's go back to 1 Samuel 30, and verse 13.
1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 13.
One second, sir. One second. All right.
1 Samuel chapter 30 verse 13. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou? And whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me because 3 days agone I fell sick.
So this servant, was left behind because he was no longer usable. He was a disposable person at this point. All right, read on.
We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites and upon the coast which belonged to Judah.
Wait a minute. Hold on now. This man was going to war against your own people. This Egyptian that was strung out, that was about to die, was actually one of those that was killing your people, your nation. Read on. He's even more specific.
And upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire.
Hold on now. Ziklag is where your 2 wives got captured and kidnapped. Your whole army's children and wives got kidnapped and captured. Whole village got burned up. we might have some problems right now. Why would David help an enemy? What did this one person, along with his whole group, do to David emotionally? The stress that this particular event had on David. Let's go to the Josephus now. Antiquity of the Jews, book 6, chapter 14.6. Antiquity of the Jews, book 6, chapter 14, paragraph 6.
Page 179.
Yep, read it.
Cons. Antiquities of the Jews, book 6, chapter 14, paragraph 6. Line 357, page 179. Now, when David found that Ziklag was laid waste, and that it was all spoiled, and that as well his own wives, who were two, as the wives of his companions, with their children, were captives, he presently rent his clothes, weeping and lamenting, together with his friends. And indeed, he was so cast down with these misfortunes, that at length tears themselves failed him.
So he says, David was so distraught, he couldn't even cry anymore. He cried so much his teardrops dried up. That's the emotional side of it. On David's part. Read on.
Says he was also in danger of being stoned to death by his companions.
Now my soldiers are about to kill me. I'm already distressed. I'm already depressed. I'm already angry. He helped someone who participated in the plundering and the burning and in the kidnapping of him and his partners, wives, and children. Most people, if you see your enemy and had an opportunity to take advantage of that person, would they not? You're the reason for the kidnapping of my family. You're the reason for the destruction of my friend's family. You're the reason for the destruction of my own home. I got a chance to take you out.
At the very least, a prisoner of war.
At the very least, make him a slave forever. Read on.
He was also in danger of being stoned to death by his companions.
Now my soldiers are trying to kill me. Read on.
Who were greatly afflicted at the captivity of their wives and children, for they laid the blame upon him of what had happened.
Because it was David's call to lead the village and lead them vulnerable. So now it's your fault, David, that my kids and my family got kidnapped. Israel always does that. I'm always going to point the finger at the leader. The leader made the call, therefore the leader has to take the blame. David, you got to die for this. Now he's under fire. Now he's under threats. Having a couple of all these different emotions. You got the person that is the cause, that is one of the causes for all this in front of you. Might want to stand up. Read on.
But when he had recovered himself out of his grief, he had raised up his mind to the Most High. He desired the high priest Abiathar to put on his sacerdotal garments, and to inquire of the Most High, and to prophesy to him, whether the Most High would grant that if he pursued after the Amalekites, he should overtake them, and save their wives and their children, and avenge himself of the enemies.
So what made David so special is, after he got out of his emotional phase, he sought God immediately. Now, just because the Most High told him his friends and family would be okay, to take away the anger that you already had to experience, the fact that you are one of the causes of the destruction of my homeland, you're one of the causes of having my children have to fear for their lives, you're one of the causes of having me to stress out on what the worst thing imaginably could be happening to my wives and my children right now, well, these strange Amalekites, it doesn't take that stress away. Just because you got a little bit of hope doesn't mean this person don't got to answer for something. For most people, at least. This is the mentality that most people would operate in. I myself would probably be a victim of the same thing. This is a very stressful, scary time. You don't know where the family's at. You're aimlessly walking right now. You see someone lying on the ground, you help them out, you do a good deed to them, and all of a sudden you find out you're the reason why I'm in this situation right now? Shoot. Most people, it's take out first, ask questions second.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You got the imagination making you think this could be going on.
And that's the worst. That's what drives you crazy. Because our mind automatically goes to the most negative thoughts possible. Ain't likely like Abraham. No, Abraham must have had crazy faith that to not stress out Sarah. He got his wife taken twice, and we don't know how long. It wasn't like a day or anything. It was it's a period of time that he had his wives taken. What type of faith? It's faith. You gotta have to know the Most High is gonna take care of him in this wicked and cruel world, and not allow those thoughts to bombard you, because that would drive someone insane. That would drive all the spirituality out of a person's mind, all the verses out of a person's mind, all the disciplines out of a person's mind. Just pure rage. That's why it says wrath does not work at the righteousness of man, because this situation would promote wrath. You have to be clear-minded enough to even react in a time like this. You don't.
Line 360. And when the high priest bade him to pursue after them, he marched apace with his 400 men after the enemy. And when he was come to a certain brook called Besor, and had lighted upon one that was wandering about.
So hold on 1 second. I'm trying to figure out. I don't think the priest even said no harm would come to them. Let me see. I think he did. Let me see. 1 second. Keep reading. Keep reading. Slacking.
Says, and he lighted upon one that was wandering about, an Egyptian by birth, who was almost dead with want and famine. For he had continued wandering about without food in the wilderness 3 days.
So just clear it up. The prophet did say your family will be all right. These families will be all right. But again, that doesn't take away from the stress, nor does it take away from the initial trauma that you had experienced for those X amount of days, that X amount of time. All right? Read on.
He first of all gave him sustenance, both meat and drink, and thereby refreshed him.
So before knowing what nation, what occupation this man was, I'm going to take care of him. He's dying. It's better to take care of him than let this man just die for no reason. Didn't ask the cause, didn't know the cause, just saved his life. Read on.
He then asked him to whom he belonged and whence he came.
So, no, keep reading. 361, yes. Keep reading. Stop.
Whereupon the man told him he was an Egyptian by birth and was left behind by his master, because he was so sick and weak that he could not follow him. He also informed him that he was one of those who had burnt and plundered not only other parts of Judea, but Ziklag itself also.
So it's not like this guy was a sideline character. He was a servant, but he actively participated in the plundering and the destruction of his livelihood. That would incite rage. That would incite anger. That would incite some type of destructive mindset in most people. But what we're going to find out is David had enough elevated spirit and enough virtue to look past that. And to clearly think. And they clearly rationalize how can we manipulate the situation in our best favor without killing and destruction and death. What you got?
And David did have a killer instinct. He killed more men
than
Saul did.
Look. David was a killer. It's not getting. David was the same guy that said, "I'm going to kill all those that piss on the wall." That's still him, but there's still growth. David was a G. I ain't like all times. David was just about peace. Now David was about war too, but in this situation, he chose the peace. He chose a rational way of thinking versus taking the irrational way of responding, especially to a nation. All right? Let it go. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. Let's go to Matthew 5, verse 43 through 48. This is what blew my mind. Reading this now in this new light, really, it really changed my way of thinking a lot, honestly. Matthew 5, verse 43 through 48.
Come. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 43 reads, "And ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy."
It says, you know to love your neighbor. So we just read the neighbor, right? The good Samaritan, the one that's looking out for you. The one that will go out of his way to take care of you, give you the new whip, give you the food. Do what you gotta get. Get what you gotta get to take care of yourself, right? That's the neighbor. We understand that, right? But we were also told hate your neighbor, hate the enemy. Hate the person that's trying to destroy you, trying to take advantage of you, trying to defraud you, trying to manipulate you. All right, read on.
But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you.
What does that mean? To love your enemies and bless them that curse you. Read on.
Do good to them that hate you.
This isn't what David did. David took care of the person that hates him. You know, you sure hate somebody? I kidnap your family. I burn your village down. I think you sure hate somebody. He says, instead of keeping the mentality of hate, the perpetual motion of hate going, you be the change to stop the hate. This sounds real churchy right now. I gotta admit, this sounds real churchy. But this is the truth. What you got?
No, like it's crazy because the huge amount that he was willing to do that when, you know, his family and other men's family that he was in charge of were actually, like, there were lives at stake.
Yeah.
But like the small level that we can't actually even do it on and we offend each other, like we hold on to things so strongly due to offenses. I mean,
Yeah, because we can't look outside of ourselves.
mm-hmm.
And in this case, you know, it would have been an easy thing to kill him. You know why? Because there's 400 angry black men behind you that want to kill you. They want to kill you for all this cause. You don't think you could just redirect their attention to this Egyptian that actually was the plunderer, actually was the kidnapper? It would have been an easy thing.
Paranoia and peer pressure at the same time.
Kinda. That's stressful as heck. But he had enough spiritual integrity and foresight. This is what Christ is pushing. Christ is pushing a concept that was not heard of, not known by the masses. Only select few people could operate in this level, in this capacity. But he's explaining, if you want that elevated level of understanding, take stories like David in this scenario, for instance. When the time to afflict and the time to avenge and take vengeance upon yourself is in front of you. These are stories you should replay in your head. If you want perfection and particular virtues, recall the stories that show the perfection in those virtues. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not sitting here saying loving your enemy, the person that's talking about you, person that's got it out for you, person that's praying on your downfall, and to respect them and love them and not hate them isn't an easy thing. It's not easy. But if you want to be in the spirit of Christ, this is the spirit of Christ. This is what we're finding out right now. This is in red letters. This ain't my words. So keep reading.
But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you.
Yep. Read on.
That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven.
This level of understanding displays that you have the characteristic of the children of your Father. Because Christ blessed, he prayed for, and he didn't hate those that hated him. Who hated Christ? His own people hated Christ. His own people hated him. His own people cursed him out. Everybody was against Christ. There's only a small number of people that actually... So if Christ didn't have that level of compassion for his own people, if Christ had that level of compassion for all those that were out to get him, again, like I said earlier, are we greater than our master? Not easy subject, not easy topic, but you know what? If you want to the next step and the particular virtue of love, of compassion, this is it.
Even Pontius Pilate was given a benefit of the doubt.
The nation was like, look, bro, this is not on my hands. This is a just man right here. You want to murder a just man. It ain't on me, bro. Y'all want to do it? Okay, go ahead. Ain't on me. So, but Christ understands that too. He understands not every nation, or not every person in the nations are out to get him. He understands that every person in our people are not out to get him. But even if they are, it's not your job to be angry at them. It's not your job to hate them. Why? Why is he telling us not to hate the adversary or the person that does us wrong? Does anybody have an idea why? Why is he telling us not to hate the adversary or the person that does us wrong? Partly.
Because you're only continuing that same spirit. I mean,
Partly.
Yes. You're changing the mentality of that person to be offended by helping him.
Or the
Like some reverse psychology.
yeah, good. The kill him with kindness scenario.
I'm gonna kill him with kindness. You don't want to do someone that's doing good to you wrong, brother. You know that. No, well, yes, and no. The reason why is, who sent him?
The Most High.
Who created the spirits of evil?
The Most High.
Who created the ministers of evil? You know Romans 13. Who allows bad things to happen to you? So if you believe God is just, if you believe that He's looking out for you in your best favor, who am I to hate the person, the situation, or scenario that's not in my immediate favor? Are you above God? Are your thoughts above God? Well, we tell ourselves that. Because the first time bad things happen to us is why it's happened to me. This don't make no sense. I did nothing wrong. I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to do me. Why can't I ever catch a break? What you got, Naga?
Proverbs 16:4.
Read it. Oh, yeah, read that. Yeah, read that. Yeah, read that.
Proverbs 16:4. The Most High hath made all things for Himself.
Yep.
Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil.
So that means whether you think you deserve it or not. And this is one thing that it made sense to me. Because when I'm reading Jeremiah's, when I'm reading the Ezra's, when I'm reading the Ezekiel's, I'm like, these men were top in line, top-notch, righteous men. Why did they have to go through what they went through? Sometimes it's for a lesson. Sometimes it's to test your faith. Sometimes to represent or be an example for others to know how to get through their struggle. You got to suffer wrongfully so you can relate to the other person that had to suffer wrongfully. Because you wanted to be a teacher of the Bible. Because you want to be a sister of the Bible. This is why bad things happen. This is why bad people are put in our lives. It's not always because we're just negative people. Sometimes there can be a great lesson out of it. Christ was not a bad person to have to go through the hell that He went through. But He had to go through it so there can be a lesson, a spiritual lesson that all of us can take advantage of. This is the power behind this story. This is the importance behind this lesson. Read on.
Come. Verse 45. That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For He maketh His sun to rise on the evil and on the good.
So the good of the Lord and the bad of the Lord gets good times. They get prosperity. They get comfort. They get peace. Read on.
And sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust.
Yep.
For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye?
What is the spiritual reward with loving people that only love you? What virtue can you gain with that level of relationships? It's easy to love someone that loves you. That's natural.
It's even extreme.
If we're about regeneration, right, and doing everything that's contrary to our immediate negative spirit, wouldn't this be one of those contrary things? To not hate those that hate you?
Mm-hmm.
That's a level of thinking that no one is just born with. If you hit me, my first reaction is to hit you back. It's a natural reflex. I go immediately into fight or flight mode. I'm not going to sit here and just get my butt whooped for no reason. I'm not going to sit here and get used and abused for no reason. Taken advantage for no reason. I know I'm saying light words, but there's children watch, so I gotta be careful. But the point is, that's against our immediate nature. But if we're all about regeneration and completely morphing our way of thinking, this is another aspect of morphing. Read on.
For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same?
The publicans, the thugs do the same thing. I'm only loving those boys in blue. I'm only loving those boys in red. I only stay within my own clique and that's it. I never care about anybody else. In fact, I hate everybody else. This is a shared trait that those of the Bible have amongst everybody else. If you don't look like me, if you don't believe what I believe in, if you don't operate like me, I can't have any respect towards you. I can't have any affiliation towards you. That goes to man, woman, nation, or belief system. No respect, no care, no concern. This is a thought process that we have. Read on.
Verse 47. And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Your Father in heaven is perfect, meaning what? Your Father is just. He has mastered judgment. To not look at one person or one people and have a predisposed negative mindset toward it. He inflicts and he gives those that do wrong. And he blesses those that do right. Does he not bless the nations? Does he not curse the nations? So he's a master of both. So why am I just a curse? I can't have no good towards the man next to me. I only got hate. Only got contempt in my heart. Now, before I go on to the next verse, is there any confusion about what's being said? Can someone give me a breakdown or a summary of what I'm trying to say, or what the scripture is trying to say?
Just on that last verse says, and be perfect, even as your Father is. Like, you can't be complete if you're only willing to or know how to work with your own people. How are you gonna learn how to work and deal with other people? Like, even when we're going to when our kingdom comes,
yeah,
we still got to deal with these other nations so that they could build, our kingdom.
Yeah, and they hated you at one point.
Right.
They might have bullied you in school. They might have called you your name. They might have talked about your skin color. They might have talked about your race. They might have talked about your belief system. They might have a history of destroying and embarrassing and morally corrupting your particular nation of people. And Christ is saying, don't hate them.
And if you can't understand these people, how are you going to be able to counsel them and teach them, or let your light so shine before the world, before the people?
Kinda.
And you can't do it.
You can't be the asset that Christ needs you to be if you have prejudice in your mind. No one's allowed to have prejudice in their mind. No one's allowed to just hold on. It also means no one's allowed to hold on to hate.
I was going to say that's kind of like the opposite of what we taught as far as doing good for quote unquote godly.
Yeah.
Our idea of godly, the quote unquote Israelite.
Yeah.
Just doing good to just everybody.
Give me Galatians 6 and 10. You're right. Like I said, this class is written today. That means the elevation got written today. The elevation got heightened today. This is a concept that we don't normally teach. But the Bible says it. The Bible says it right here. Galatians 6 and verse 10.
Galatians 6 and verse 10. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men.
Did David have an opportunity to save a life? Did a Samaritan have an opportunity to save a life? So it says this is a commandment. Remember, Paul was given permission to write certain commandments. That's in 1 Corinthians 14. I want to say verse 32. We're supposed to look for opportunities to do good to all men. All right? Not discriminate. All men. Read on.
Let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
But the priority is still your people. All right? We're not taking away from that. You give your best to your people. You give your most sincerity, your most spiritual exercise to your people. And that's not changing. But we're also not going to act like doing good to other people that are in need is against the law or is shamed upon, is frowned upon. If you want favor amongst all men, this is how you do it. If you want favor with some men, then pick and choose. 1 Samuel 30 and verse 14. After we finish the story, I'm going to cut off here. We're not going to be able to get to the other part. So we'll finish with this concept. I believe we'll finish with verse 19, and that'll be it.
God. 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 14
Breakdown.
says, we made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burnt Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, swear unto me by the Most High, that thou wilt neither kill me, nor deliver me into the hands of my master.
Now this nation, this Egyptian is slick. He knew, okay, you're asking questions. I don't know who you are, but you got an army behind you. So I'm going to assume you're here to kill. I'll give you what you want, and I'll lead you down to the company to take out his Amalekites if you don't kill me. Now, David could have altered this agreement and said, look, it could have said something like, man, I wouldn't kill you right now, or, I'll give you a couple of days to run for your life. Either way, he's not in a position to negotiate right now. Ultimately, the power is in David's hands to agree or not to agree in this proposition. But he agreed to it. Read on.
And I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, there was spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because all of the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines.
So they laugh and they joke and they're having a great time after they just pillars, they kidnap, and they hurt a lot of people. Read on.
It says, because all of the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day.
Man.
And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled.
So there's a lot of killing going on. There's a lot of get back going on. And like we said earlier, David is a killer. So it's not like this isn't in his personality. It's not like he didn't have some bloodthirsty, valiant men behind him ready to slaughter anybody in their path. This is a temperament in David as well. But he's able to adjust. He's able to control the feelings to get the most out of the situation. If David would have sat here and killed that man on spot after telling him he was an Egyptian and he helped kidnap his wives, he wouldn't be able to get the upper hand on this camp.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to sit here and navigate and catch him by surprise. Maybe it would have took until the morning time when they were caught. At that time, the whole army's prepared. The alcohol had already worn off. It would have been more of a harsher fight. But because he spared this man's life, the Most High honored it and blessed him. Read on.
Verse 18. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all.
Yep. So he got all the wives back, all the children back, all their spoil, and the spoils of war from that they had with the other wars, the Philistine wars. Read on.
Verse 20. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drank before those of the cattle and said, this is David's spoil.
So David claimed his first. He pulled rank. He got what he wanted first, and then allowed him to have the rest. And that's fine. He's the commander of the army. Let him have his rank, man. That's what it is. Read on.
Verse 21. And David came to the 200 men, which were so faint that they could not follow David.
So now we're going into another aspect of the leaning over meat, the leaning of thine elbow with the meat, and scorning to give and take. Because part of it is, the first part of it is, if you have the opportunity to do good, if you have the means, if you have the ability, take care of the next man. We explained the story of the Samaritan, and we explained what David was doing. All right? The other part of it is, there were still 200 people that were left behind, that were tired, that couldn't go on to war. So now we got a little issue. We got the men that put the work in, that sweat, that grinded, that made blood a little bit, that sacrificed to get these rewards. Then you had the other 200 that sat back and relaxed, that had a little more ease than the other 400. So let's see how this develops. See how this story develops. Read on.
Verse 21. And David came to the 200 men, which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Besor.
So,
and they went forth to meet David and to meet the people that were with them. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them.
So he saluted them. Everybody was happy. It was a joyous event. Everybody came back unharmed. All their families came back unharmed. The children came back unharmed. Their wives came back unharmed. It was a joyous time. Read on.
Verse 22. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial.
So he called these 400 men of Belial. Contrary, wicked men. Read on. What made them wicked and what made them contrary?
It says, of those that went with David and said, because they went not with us, we will not give them all of the spoils that we have recovered.
Now that now that they won, greed sets in. I got what I wanted. I put the work in. Why do you get a part of the pie? Why do you get a piece of the pie? Isn't this what most people think? If I put the work in, why does everybody else get blessed from my works? Why am I not getting all the benefits? I have to cut my benefits and my profits that I so hardly work for. I sweat and I bled for, I blew my back out for. And you get some of this too? This is dynamic. This is a very important dynamic. Read on.
It says,
He said what? 10 money I just spent. You was in the truck all day, B. You was sleeping all day. I talked to the customer. I made them laugh. I heard the cry fest. I heard them out. I invested in my spirits. I gave them 20 minutes of my life I'm never getting back again while you're in the truck eating your lunch. And you're telling me I got to split the tip with you? I don't want to. Maybe I'll just hide the tip. Maybe I won't tell you I got the tip. Most I don't honor that either. Tell you, I did that one time, brother. I lost. Most of let me know that was the wrong thing to do. I lost $150 of all that tip money gone. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is the Most High is not honoring that spirit right there. I learned my lesson. I never do it again. I won't do it. But I didn't know. Now I know. Anyway, keep reading.
Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial, of those that went with David, and said, because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart.
What are they saying? They're saying, look, you got your kids back, bro. You get your family. Why do you want more? You didn't do nothing. You didn't put in on this, man. You did nothing to get the benefits that we got right now. Just take your kids, take your wife, and go on your merry way and be happy. Because you were just so faint. You're just so tired. I'm not tired too. I'm not fighting the same battles you fight. But you're just so tired. Then you get the little part of the other benefits with your wife and kids and move on. That was their thinking. That's pretty rational. In a carnal sense, if you ask an American today, that makes sense. What David's about to say is some real communist stuff, or some real socialist stuff. The idea of everybody works hard, some work harder than others, and everybody gets the same pay. That's socialism in economic terms. Americans do not like socialism. They believe in capitalism. If you work hard, you deserve the money. If you don't work hard, you don't get no benefits. That's what being a Republican is all about. For those that know economics, read on.
Verse 23. That said David, ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Most High had given
He said,
us.
you didn't earn this. The Most High gave it to us. First off, we had the easiest victory of all time. Nobody died. Even the ones that took up swords, they were killed in one slash. What are you saying? Like you put this much work in. Most High has handed us the blessing. He gave you the tip. Now you question if I want to split the tip up or not? It was free money. It was free money. Why you want to be stingy with free money right now? What you got?
Now, this that mentality that men have, be like, I did it, bro.
Yeah, it was me.
I made the moves. You see the scars on?
I put the work in. You know how much time I put into this? How much training I did to prepare for this moment? Yeah.
I trained you.
I trained you, bro. I didn't realize.
I gave you that sword.
Yeah. I glistened it for you. I sharpened the sword for you. I did this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It was given to you. We're going to read in Josephus out. Some of these guys was in mid-munch out. It was in mid...
Nice.
It was a mid-steak bite out. Oh, shoot, man. You gotta be careful. There was a mid-steak bite out. They was eating bread out. And they got slaughtered mid-bite out. Mid-drink. You didn't put no work in, bro. All you did was look your sword up, bro. It was not a hard victory for you, bro. Some of them was sprawled out, lay on the ground, bro. They're already out cold. You didn't do no works, man. They had that double burger mid-bite out. That was it. They got caught completely off guard, bro. Read on.
God. Verse 23. That said David, you shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Most High had given us, who have preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hand.
Yep.
For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarried by the stuff.
What he's saying is, just as much as you have a claim to this prophet because you went to the battle, is the same claim that those that stay back to watch your stuff get as well. What people don't realize is there's going to be a time when there's going to be those that are more skilled, those that have more stamina, those that have more wherewithal, strength. When things hit the fan, someone had to go out and get the supplies, while others had to stay back. The old, the children, the fatigued, the injured, will have to stay back. Are you gonna come back with them canned beans and say, "Nah, y'all didn't come out. Y'all didn't come out. Y'all didn't work for this"? Or are you gonna distribute it to the body? That was your job. Your job is to take care and venture out and get what the rest of the body needs. But it's letting you know there's a selfishness in there, and this wicked mentality is something that has to get corrected. So these stories have to be taught. So when them times come, you can reflect on these stories of, man, I can't do what them wicked men of Belial did. I can't think how them greedy men thought. I'm not doing this for myself. If you take yourself out of the picture, it's easy to give. It's easy to give that it's easy to look at what you're getting as if it's not yours. If you can look at it like that, this exchange wouldn't be so difficult. So read on.
Now, it says, for who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so from that day forward that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day.
So this became a new law. This wasn't a law originally. To make sure that you give the spoils of war. Although you put all the effort into it, although you invested all the time into it, you have an obligation to give back and share it evenly amongst your people. And you can't be selfish. That selfishness is against the scriptures. Now, let's get in the Josephus one more time. We got Josephus, and then we got one more verse, and that'll be the end of today's class. But I want to get a little more details on it, because it explains why they thought the way they thought. Now we're on point. It's still book 6, chapter 14, paragraph 6, but now we're on point 362, line 362.
Antiquity of the Jews, book 6, chapter 14, paragraph 6, line 362, page 179. So David made use of him as a guide to find out the Amalekites. And when he had overtaken them, as they had laid scattered abroad on the ground, some at dinner, some disordered, and entirely drunk with wine, and in the fruition of their spoils and their prey, he fell upon them on the sudden, and made a great slaughter among them.
So some were at dinner, some were disordered, they were drunk out of their mind. Some of them were too busy counting their money. They was doing the money on TikTok and dancing, living their life, flexing bread that wasn't theirs. They were preoccupied. You ever seen those like scary movies? When they be in the camera, all of a sudden you see a black figure behind them out, and the camera go black. That was their reality. Yeah. They had caught slipping. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what hit them. So it's explaining how easy this captivity and this slaughtering was. You didn't really have to fight for it, which doesn't make any sense for why those men were thinking the way they thought. Read on.
And made a great slaughter among them, for they were naked.
Some were naked. They was fresh out the shower. You were in a very vulnerable state right now. Yeah. What do? You cover yourself up or do you grab a weapon first? I don't know. Me, I'm probably covering myself up. Why are you in here? What's going on? And that's just what it is. Caught me slip. I'm dead. Too late to react. Read on.
And expected no such thing, but had betaken themselves to drinking and feasting, and so they were all easily destroyed. Now some of them that were overtaken as they lay at the table were slain in that posture.
They were in mid-posture, mid-bite out, getting murked. Been over the table, eating the food, eating the noodles out, laughing and joking, dead at the spot before they could even react. Read on.
and their blood brought up with it their meat and their drink.
Oh my gosh.
They slew others of the same as they were drinking to one another in their cups, and some of them were their full bellies,
When they're full bellies,
and some of them, when their full bellies had made them fall asleep,
they had that itis out. Couldn't do nothing, bro. I'm out of here. There's nothing you can do about it, but you out cold, bro. Read on.
and for so many as had time to put on their armor,
Some of them had time to put their armor on. Read on.
they slew them with the sword, with no less ease than they did those that were naked.
And that's the point. Read on.
And for their partisans of David, they continued also the slaughter from the first hour of the day to the evening, so that they were not above 400 of the Amalekites left. And they only escaped by getting upon their dromedaries and camels.
Mm-hmm.
Accordingly, David recovered not only all the other spoils which the enemy had carried away, but his wives also, and the wives of his companions. But when they were come to the place where they had left the 200 men, which were not able to follow them, but were left to take care of the stuff, the 400 men did not think fit to divide among them any other part of what they had gotten, or of the prey, since they did not accompany them, but pretended to be feeble.
So they said they pretended to be feeble. You guys faked it. You were just tired of working. You were just tired of lifting the sword today. That's why you said you was feeble. That's why you complained to David asking for a day off. So hindsight 2020, it's almost reasonable to think, hey, why should they get it? But David's saying no, it's still against the law. Whether they pretend to be feeble, or they were actually tired, or they were injured, your job is to take care of the whole body and not be selfish. It's an easy thing for the strong to only look out for the strong. But our job is to look out for the weak and take care of the weak. The weak in mind as well. Because if you want to quit and get weak, that means you're weak in mind. That don't mean I can hate you for that either. I still have an obligation to take care of you and support you as a brother. Read on.
But pretended to be feeble, and did not follow them in the pursuit of the enemy, but said they should be contented to have safely recovered their wives.
You should be content that you got your wives back, bro. At least you got that, man. Read on.
Yet did David pronounce that this opinion of theirs was evil and unjust.
And this also goes back into unjust dealings with your partners and friends. Because an unjust dealing is, I don't think it's befit to give others that didn't work as hard for the things that I got. Doesn't matter the circumstance, doesn't matter how we got to this point. I worked hard, you didn't work hard, therefore you don't get it. That is an unjust and evil way of thinking. We read it earlier in that Ecclesiastes 41. So keep reading.
Come. And that when the Most High had granted them such a favor, that they had avenged themselves on their enemies, and had recovered all that belonged to themselves, they should make an equal distribution of what they had gotten to all, because the rest had tarried behind to guard their stuff. And from that time this law obtained among them, that those who guarded the stuff should receive an equal share with those that had fought in the battle. Now when David was come to Ziklag, he sent portions of the spoils to all that had been familiar with him, and to his friends in the tribe of Judah. And thus ended the affairs of the plundering of Ziklag and of the slaughter of the Amalekites.
So David not only put out the order, but also gave some of the spoils to friends, people that he was familiar with. He took care of everybody. It wasn't just those that went to war. It was those that were familiar, associated with him as well, that supported him in the background. It's a very important lesson. Last verse, 1 Corinthians 12, and verse 20 through 23. Yes, sir.
Did you say what happened to the guy that,
I want to know. I want to know too, man. I guess he survived. He just went to oblivion, man. Look, if I was a guy out of there, bro, I would shoot. I'm going back to Egypt, bro. I don't want no more problems. My mind is maybe he went easy on him because he was a servant, because he was just following orders. But I don't care if he was following orders or not, bro. Hey, look, bro. That's a very spiritual way that David thought, and the Most High is pushing us to think as well. It's not easy. I keep saying that it's not easy, bro. But back on this point, 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 20. Read that, sir.
1 Corinthians 12 and verse 20.
We're going to go to 23, then we'll jump to 25.
But now are they many members, yet but one body. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee.
But the eye sees, though. The eye has a very important job in seeing. But you can't say to the hand, who just feels things, that I don't need you. Read on.
Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you.
The head is very important. The head is the computer of the body. You can't sit here and say to the feet, I don't need you. Although you walk, although you carry out the functions of the body, I don't need you because I'm more important. Read on.
Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary.
And this is the point. Even with the men that were feeble couldn't go to war, they're still necessary. Why were they necessary? Because someone had to wash the stuff. What if someone ambushed you off in the back? Someone got to be there. So they're still needed. They're still necessary. Read on.
And those members of the body, which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness.
Now give me verse 25.
1 Corinthians 12 and 25.
So just because you seem less honorable, but the Most High is saying you got to prioritize those that you see or deem as less important, and give them the time and the space to grow, and also understand that hey, they have a value to Christ and to the body. You just might not see it yet. You might not see it yet, but that's not for you to judge. Your job is to take care of that person. That's your job. That's what the Most High gave you to do. Read on.
That there should be no schisms in the body.
There should be no schisms about stuff. There should be no schism about who gets what. There should be no schism about who gets a priority over what. It should be understood. Read on.
But that the members should have the same care one for another.
Yep. Going back to what we said earlier. Don't do anything that you would hate to other people. If you would hate to be left out because you broke your leg, because that mentality would have been switched very easily. If you had broken your leg, you got an arm chopped off, and you get a flu out of nowhere, and you couldn't go to war, you would still want some of the spoils. You out here sweating too? You're not in your house. You ain't your bed. I want some type of benefit being out here, aside from what was mine, aside from my wife and children. That'd be fair. That'd be nice to have. It's saying, don't read that part again. It says, have the same care for one another. Read on.
God, that there should be no schisms in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Yep, here you go. Verse 26.
And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. Or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it.
And this is a moral law. If you look at it like, you know what, we are all the same, we have the same value, and I don't think my value is higher than your value, then everybody can be at peace and the body can keep working in a complete and whole fashion. What you got?
Just on your point, I mean, it's Romans 15 and 1. Romans 15 and 1, you're talking about, not seeing our value more than the others. He says, we then that are strong, so even if you are in that position where you're able to fight, maybe somebody's weak, he says,
yep,
we that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak,
yep,
and not to please ourselves.
Okay. So in this scenario, that's why they're called the wicked and the men of Belial. Because they didn't read enough. They didn't understand the spirit of Christ enough. My job is to take care of them whether they want to go to war right now or not. And I shouldn't look at them any indifferent. I shouldn't feel any way about them. Because God still has a purpose for them. That's just what it is. Now, let's go and finish it off with Ecclesiastes 41 and verse 19. And we'll go from there.
Ecclesiastes chapter 41, verse 19.
Yep.
And of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of the Most High in his covenant, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat.
So this is a character trait that you should be ashamed of. Being greedy, not wanting to distribute what others could need or benefit from. It was your meat. You put the work in for it, but your job was still to pass the others. That's how you operate in the Spirit of Christ. Read on.
And scorning to give and take.
Because the Most High is all about equality. He's all about distributing your goods to others that are in need, whether they be a neighbor or they be your own people. It's still about being good to everybody and having that sense of kindness and sincerity. If you have that level of sincerity, you'll be promoted to favor. If you have the genuine nature that Christ teaches us to have, you won't be rubbing elbows or rubbing against the prick so much. You wouldn't be having all these different conflicts so much. Because you look at people the way you want to be looked at. You operate with people the way you want to operate, that you want to be operated with. That's the level of sincerity that we need if we want favor. Again, there's 4 of the characteristics and traits. It's a whole other class. Unfortunately, we didn't get into it, but we put 2.5 hours in, so I think that's good enough. Does anybody have any questions? Comments, complaints about how the class went? All right. Class, the water for listening. For those that are still here, Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow, we should be on a regular schedule with the war, with Sabbath class. So again, take care. If you have any questions, please email isbhpk@yahoo.com. Shalom.
Shalom.